Number 15. Crazy McNuggets Lady. When 24-year-old Melody Duchesne arrived at a Toledo, Ohio McDonald's, she wanted one thing and one thing only: chicken McNuggets. Unfortunately, this McDonald's couldn't fulfill her wishes, and their refusal to do so sent Duchesne into a reckless rampage.
Don't make me assume my ultimate form! I will... Wait, oh my God!
The attendant told the customer it was 10:30 in the morning and they don't serve McNuggets at this time, but Duchesne insisted that they did. When the attendant still refused her, she got out of her vehicle and started getting physical at the woman in the window. At one point, she even yelled, "Do you know who I am?" Other McDonald's workers came to the aid of the attendant, attempting to shut the drive-thru window before the girl could lunge farther inside and attack. Once they did manage to close her out, the girl began punching at the window with her elbow, screaming obscenities and lacking any semblance of self-restraint whatsoever. She then appeared to be climbing back into her car, but climbed out again to smash the window with something. After that, she drove off, seemingly satisfied with this behavior. Police were called and Duchesne was charged with vandalism, to which she pled not guilty. They say the customer is always right, but that doesn't seem to be the case this time. Number 14. McDonald's Ghost. Miss ROCIO 4441 published this haunting video in June of 2011, alleging a ghost at the local McDonald's who appeared there at night between 2:30 and 2:50 a.m. In the video, you can certainly see what appears to be a shadow floating around the restaurant. According to the YouTuber, the security camera only turns on when it captures movement. One person in the comments claims to work at this very McDonald's. Ya boy Dan 916 said, "I work night shifts in this store and I get the creeps all the time." Viewers disputed this video as well though, while some saying it could be a bug on the lens. I don't know though, but watching the shadow move around this footage certainly gives me the creeps. Could it be a past customer or McDonald's employee who passed away at this restaurant? I guess we'll never know. Number 13. Earthquake. What happens when you're stuck at McDonald's during an earthquake? You record it, of course. Winnie quickly snapped up his Android phone to capture this crazy quake at the local McDonald's, taken at a location in California. In the video, you can see the overhanging light shaking and swaying. The clip is short and to the point, but it reminds us that nature can and will attack anywhere and everywhere it pleases. Number 12. Temper tantrum. You expect to see kids throwing temper tantrums at McDonald's, not grown adults. But this video goes to show that some of us never do grow up. The woman in the video stands pouting with her arms crossed at the counter. She was angry about her order, having returned her hamburger twice and demanded her money back. When the employee refused, the woman went and got a water dispenser and poured it out on the counter. She then pushed the cookie container off the counter as well. Still not satisfied, she picked up one of the yellow, slippery when wet warning signs and flung it across the counter, presumably at an employee. She also pushed all 3 registers over the counter. According to the police report, the employee then warned her that she was calling the police, and this woman took that as her cue to go, but not before cussing the employee out like a sailor. While mental health or anger issues may be responsible for her actions, it's sad to see that staff members have to face events like this. Number 11. Man luring girl. McDonald's can sometimes be a safe haven for teens, especially from those who prey on them. One young 14-year-old girl told police that a man stalked and scared her until she went to seek help at a McDonald's. The girl had been walking home the night in question when the man began following her. It was 5:30 p.m. when the girl entered the McDonald's to escape the man, who she said was 25 to 30 years old. He had been following her and harassing her, walking close to her and asking questions. He also asked for her phone number and invited her to his house so they could get to know each other. When she got to the McDonald's, she phoned her family, who in turn called police. McDonald's surveillance footage revealed a man had indeed been stalking her. When a still image of the suspect was released, a number of people recognized him and claimed he was known for this type of behavior, especially regarding young girls. Someone provided WGN News with the man's home address, and when they went there to confront the man, they were met with anger, although the man on the other end of the intercom claimed not to know what WGN was on about. He came down to speak with them, wearing the exact same clothes as that of the suspect caught on camera at McDonald's.
This is the guy they're looking for.
That's not me.
That's not you?
Well, what are they looking for him for?
You followed a 14-year-old into McDonald's?
I was just talking to her, and then she told me that she's young, and I told her, oh, okay, I was just trying to ask her.
After first denying that he was the man in the video, he admitted, "I was just talking to her." She said he just wanted information on the bus route and claimed he never asked the girl for her number and wasn't stalking her. Although WGN informed the police about the man's location, whether he was charged with any criminal behavior or not, we can only guess. Number 10. Grease fire. Sometimes, while the front of a restaurant is running like clockwork, behind the scenes, things are heating up. That's what happened to Zach Burrell, who was working at McDonald's in 2011 when a grease fire occurred. He published his video of heroism in October of 2011, noting that it was him putting the grease fire out and that he was poorly trained to do so. In the beginning of the video, you can see the flames spring up in the cooker. Then there's a mass panic in the kitchen, and workers start racing around, trying to figure out what to do. Every effort they make seems to throw heat on the flames, lighting it up more. Zach explains what happened. "First, I pulled the wrong mounted extinguisher, and the grill was covered in liquid. Then one of my crew members tried putting an oily lid on top of the vat to cut the oxygen off. It fell in sideways and the flames doubled. In the end, Zach grabbed a fire extinguisher to douse the flames, but not before the entire kitchen filled with smoke, leaving a dramatic scene that could have led to lives being lost. Pretty crazy," he writes, "but at least I saved the store." Number 9. Help yourself. The drive-thru window seems like a go-to for thieves and criminals. In Columbia, Maryland, a woman decided to help herself via the drive-thru. She managed to squeeze inside, bending over the window and reaching through to the soda machine, where she tried unsuccessfully to pour herself a drink, but not before dropping the paper cup, because the machine wasn't built to be reached from outside the drive-thru. She then actually climbs in the window to fill her cup, and she seems to be taking her sweet time. She's completely at ease and not nervous at all, as though nothing about this whole scenario is unusual, like she's done this all before. She then heads off camera and for some reason, covers her head with her shirt as she carries a big box full of goods towards the window. She must think the new look will disguise her, but her face has already been clearly caught by the security cameras. She drops the box near the window and, still taking her sweet time, heads back and forth between the box and the window. You can see the Happy Meal box placed on top, but it's unclear what's inside of the bigger box. It then seems as though she's found another way out of the restaurant, as she disappears off camera and is seen outside the store, retrieving the box through the drive-thru window. The restaurant was closed when this occurred, but the box is said to have been filled with cash. Number 8. Robber. What do you do when the drive-thru customer gets a little handsy? This poor cashier was traumatized by a robber who climbed through the drive-thru window in DeKalb County, Georgia, to take off with loads of cash, but not before grabbing the cashier. The robber, dressed in black and with a concealed face, pulled up to the window at 11:30 at night and thrust himself inside, grabbing at the cashier. He then climbed on in, chasing the cashier into the restaurant, before grabbing hold of the cash register and taking off back through the window. Luckily, no one, including the cashier, was injured in the event. Police Lieutenant Lonzy Robertson spoke about the robbery, saying, This subject decided this was a better way to do it. He was small enough to get through the window at the time. Surveillance video showed the entire event. It also showed another driver in the drive-thru getting the heck out of there after realizing what was happening. Surely the incident left customers with a little appetite. Here's hoping the suspect was caught and justice was served. Number 7. Burglary. Back in 2011, as reported and published by WMUR-TV, police in Merrimack, New Hampshire were searching for a burglar who broke into a McDonald's with a hammer and stole several $1,000s from a safe. Dressed entirely in black, the burglar was captured by surveillance video, smashing through the drive-thru window, unhinging the security bar, and climbing into the fast food joint. The burglar then headed into the manager's office, unlocked the safe inside, and fled with the cash on hand. Police told WMUR-TV the break-in happened about 2 minutes after the McDonald's closed for the night. Based on the footage we can see, the individual uses a key fob to gain access to the electric code on the outside of the safe and subsequently gains entry into the safe, so there was no forced entry. The suspect took bags of cash, as well as the next day's startup money for the register. He then made his way to the back door, where it's believed he used a key fob to start his car before exiting. He was inside the store for around 4 minutes, demonstrating just how quickly and easily a burglar can complete a job, even at your local McDonald's. Number 6. McDonald's Monopoly. On April 23rd of this year at 2 p.m. in a West London McDonald's, a man entered with the intent to steal from the store. While most people would assume he would take money, this person took a full roll of McDonald's Monopoly tickets instead. This is certainly an item that most thieves wouldn't think of taking, but apparently the United Kingdom prizes included 100,000 euros, as well as a Mini Cooper. An employee briefly tried to stop him, but let him go upon seeing what he was holding. It was definitely the right choice. While he does get away with the tickets, actually claiming any prize would prove difficult. Number 5. Cockroach. What's something you don't want to see in a restaurant, or anywhere really? Cockroaches. KTNV Channel 13 Las Vegas published this feature in January of 2018, writing, "A viewer sent Channel 13 a video of a cockroach on the soda fountain at a local fast food restaurant. The video has gone viral on Facebook. In the video, a cockroach is indeed seen climbing all over the soda fountain, perhaps deciding whether it wants to go with Diet Coke or Sprite. While gross to see, cockroaches can also carry pathogenic microbes, which can make them more potentially harmful than simply disgusting. They can also cause allergic reactions, which is a little scary considering this thing is scurrying around a restaurant. Being that cockroaches are virtually indestructible and can survive for up to a month without food, they're famously hard to get rid of, and even if you think you have, they may still be there, lurking. Hopefully this location dealt with the problem as soon as possible." Number 4. Crazy Man. YouTuber Kits published this clip of a man screaming at a McDonald's drive-thru in September of 2017. Kits noted this was typical Miami and wrote that the man was shouting at the top of his lungs,
Help me, please!
This man is off it.
even though it was only 4 a.m. Absolutely no reason for this man to be screaming and throwing himself around so early in the morning, he wrote. The uploader said that before he started filming, the man in front of him was going crazy in the backseat of his car, kicking the roof of the car over and over, making it shake violently for around a minute prior to the recording. You can see the car shaking slightly in the video before the man gets out of the back seat and starts shouting into the night. The uploader claims it was substances that are causing him to act like this, and I agree with that theory. There just doesn't seem to be any other explanation. Number 3. Boiling oil. If you've ever been splattered while frying up some food, then you know how brutal hot oil can be, so imagine how an entire bucket of boiling oil might feel. This McDonald's employee can tell you in this truly unfortunate case that shows how scarily easy it is for something like this to happen. In the video, the McDonald's worker is walking past a fryer when she slips on something and falls right back into a bucket filled with oil. The oil splashes up on her and she gasps. Turning to the employee who's working the fryer, she manages to get back on her feet and shuffles away, while another worker helps her off screen, and the fryer removes a glove and follows after. Hopefully this ill-fated worker recovered without any serious damage. Number 2. The Mount Washington Scam. Louise Osborne was asked to work the late shift at McDonald's. Little did she know those 3 hours would alter the course of the rest of her life, and what became known as the Mount Washington Scam. A so-called policeman who identified himself as Officer Scott called the Mount Washington Kentucky McDonald's on October 9th of 2004. Donna Summers was the assistant manager there at the time when Officer Scott provided Donna with a vague description of a blonde female suspect who was believed to have stolen something. Summers thought he was talking about Louise Osborne, who was working at the restaurant at the time. Officer Scott ordered Summers to search Osborne. As the police were short-staffed, or so he claimed, the young woman was brought into the manager's office. Over the phone, Officer Scott ordered Summers to take the girl's clothes to her car, which she did. During all this, Osborne covered herself with an apron, while a second assistant manager, Kim Dockery, looked on as a witness. An hour passed, and Dockery had to return to the restaurant's counter to assist customers. So the officer told Summers to get another trusted employee to help attend to the investigation. She turned to one of the cooks, Jason Bradley, whom the officer then told to remove the girl's apron and describe her. Bradley would not do it, but he didn't intervene in the so-called investigation, and instead simply went back to work. Next up was Walter Nix Jr., Summers' fiance. He was asked to come to the restaurant to take over for Summers. Over the next couple hours, he followed the officer's instructions, ordering Osborne to do bizarre acts like jumping jacks and dance. Osborne also spoke to the officer on the phone. He told her to follow orders, or she would face severe punishment. "I was scared for my life," Osborne later said. Nix was replaced by Thomas Sims, the McDonald's maintenance man who just happened to be in the restaurant having a dessert at the time. When Sims got on the phone with the so-called officer, he refused to follow the man's orders, and Summers finally seemed to realize herself that the caller was a fraud. She phoned up an upper-level manager, whom the officer had claimed to have on the other line. In calling this manager, she understood they'd been scammed, and the call suddenly dropped. Another employee was smart enough to star 69 the call and obtain the scammer's number. Osborne was finally released after the harrowing event, and the actual police were called to the scene. Nix was charged, and the scammer was investigated, the whole event having been recorded on the office security camera. The victim, Louise Osborne, suffered from PTSD, and said she has since had difficulty allowing people to get close to her. This has got to be one of the most awful things to be caught on camera at a McDonald's. Before we get to number 1, my name is Chills and I hope you're enjoying my narration. If you're curious about what I look like in real life, then go to my Instagram at DylanIsChillinYT and tap that follow button to find out. I'm currently doing a super poll on my Instagram. If you believe ghosts are real, then go to my most recent photo and tap the like button. If you don't, DM me saying why. When you're done, come right back to this video to find out the number 1 entry. Also, follow me on Twitter at YT_chills because that's where I post video updates. It's a proven fact that generosity makes you a happier person. So if you're generous enough to hit that subscribe button and the bell beside it, then thank you. This way, you'll be notified of the new videos we upload every Tuesday and Saturday. Number 1. Fire. This is perhaps what happens when a grease fire doesn't get put out. Cincinnati.com published this clip in October of 2010 with the following description: a 5:30 a.m. fire that destroyed the Finneytown McDonald's Wednesday. Firefighters arrived to find heavy fire in the concealed spaces between the ceiling and roof. The manager arrived that morning and smelled smoke. There was also a light haze in the building. Firefighters were called to the 9200 block of Winton Road to battle the flames, which broke out at 5:40 a.m. Workers came upon the fire as they arrived for their morning shifts. The crew entered the building upon arrival, and after removing ceiling tiles, they found that the fire had been coming from one of the commercial cooking vent stacks and had engulfed the ceiling. The firefighters went back outside the building to approach the fire defensively. Once they exited the building, the fire tore through the roof and spread quickly. Damage was estimated to be around $1 million. Taking into account the business interruption, the building was old and had been around since the 1970s. Though it's been remodeled a couple times, they never removed the existing ceiling, but just installed a drop ceiling. This made things difficult for the firefighters, as when they removed the ceiling tiles to get to the fire, there was another ceiling beyond. According to the fire chief, this delayed their efforts in suppressing the fire, but they still managed to suppress it, and luckily no injuries were reported. Can you imagine walking into work that morning and finding your workplace ablaze? Thanks for checking out this video. Be sure to subscribe because we upload new countdowns every Tuesday and Saturday. Or if you're still not convinced, here are some of our other videos that I think you'd like. Enjoy!